Hello everyone, Namaste and welcome. This is your CSR, CS Rajesh, your log layer. I hope you guys are doing good and keeping your preparations intact. In this video, I'll discuss about the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881, one of the important chapter from the examination point of view. So let's start. Section 1. Section 1 in any act provides three provisions. What are the three provisions? Short title, extent, commencement. The short title of the Negotiable Instrument Act is the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. Then what is the long title, sir? The long title is it is an act to define and amend the provisions with respect to promissory note, bill of exchange and check. Extent, the law is applicable to all of India and there are no exceptions. Commencement, it came into force on the date 1st March 1882. The law was enacted in the year 1881 but it came into force on the 1st March 1882. Section 13 defines the word negotiable instrument. As per section number 13, negotiable instrument means a promissory note, a bill of exchange or a check which is payable either to order or to a bearer. So the definition of negotiable instrument is an exhaustive definition. It means it only includes what? A promissory note, a bill of exchange and check. No other instrument is considered as negotiable instrument as per the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. So it deals only with how many instruments? Three instruments. And which section defines the word negotiable instrument? Section 13. Easy to remember. The hint is there are three negotiable instruments and section 13 defines the negotiable instruments. So what is negotiable instrument? It means a promissory note, a bill of exchange or a check which is payable either to order or to a bearer. Now the next question is when the instrument is payable to order and when the instrument is payable to bearer. An instrument is deemed to be payable to order when it is expressed to be so payable. If in the instrument itself it is expressed that instrument is payable to order, then it is payable to whom? Order. Simple. For example, if the instrument say pay to Mr. X, pay to X, R2 is order, R2 is order. So it is clearly mentioned in the instrument itself that it is payable to whom? Either to Mr. X or to his order, then it is considered as payable to order. First scenario. Second scenario is that if it is payable to specified person, let's say if it says pay to Mr. X, and it does not contain any other words prohibiting the further transfer of the instrument. It just contains it is payable to specified person. That's it. And it does not prohibit the further transfer of instrument. Then also it is considered as what? Payable to order. Means it is payable to either Mr. X and if he transfer it to someone else, it is payable to that transferee. So these are the two scenarios in which an instrument is deemed to be payable to the order. Next one, when the instrument is payable to bearer. The instrument is payable to bearer when it is expressed to be so payable, similar to the payable to order. Means if the instrument says pay to the bearer, pay to whom? The bearer of the instrument, then it is considered as what? Payable to bearer. The second scenario in which the instrument is payable to bearer is when the endorsement. What is endorsement? First of all, endorsement means when the holder of the instrument, for example, let's say X is the holder of the instrument. Now X want to transfer it. How can he transfer it? He can sign on the instrument and he can enter whose name? The transferee name. Let's say he is transferring to Y. So when the holder of the instrument signs the instrument with the intent to transfer the rights of the instrument, it is called as what? Endorsement. So when the holder mention the name of the endorsee, that is transferee, and also signs it, it is called as full endorsement. Means he has mentioned the name of the transferee as well as his signature. But if he does not mention the transferee name, if he does not mention the transferee name, he just signs the instrument, he just put his signature on the instrument and he delivers the instrument to the transferee. Delivers the instrument to whom? Transferee or the endorsee. That is considered as what? A blank endorsement. So if the endorsement is blank, the transferee can transfer it to any other person without mentioning his name. So that becomes what instrument? It becomes a bearer instrument or payable to the bearer. Repeat, an instrument is deemed to be payable to bearer when it is expressed to be so payable. That is, if it is mentioned in the instrument that it is payable to the bearer of the instruments, or the only endorsement. If the instrument has only one endorsement, that endorsement, or if it has multiple endorsement, in that scenario the last endorsement is an endorsement in blank. It means it only contains the signature of the endorser, it does not contain the name of the endorsee. Then it is considered as what? A payable to the bearer. So this is the definition of what? A negotiable instrument. What is the section number? Section number 13. Essentials of negotiable instrument. The first one, the instrument must be in writing. So this is the first essential element of an negotiable instrument. The instrument must be in what? It must be in writing. Second one, it should be signed. It should be signed by whom? The maker of the instrument. Third one, it should be freely transferable. Negotiable instruments are freely transferable from one person to another person. If it is a bearer instrument, by mere delivery of the instrument. In case of order instrument, by endorsement as well as a delivery. So the instruments are freely transferable from one person to another person. Next one, the holder title is free from all the defects. Section number 9 deals with the concept of holder in due course. Holder in what? Due course. In case of negotiable instrument, if the transferor title is defective, transferor title is what? Title is defective. But if the transferee receives the instrument satisfying three conditions. How many conditions? Three conditions. What are three conditions, sir? The first one is if he receives the instrument for a valuable consideration. What consideration? For a valuable consideration, that is by providing the consideration. Second condition is that he receives the instruments before maturity, before the maturity of the instrument. And the third condition, most important condition, is acting in good faith, means without being aware of the defect in the title of the transferor. So if the transferee satisfy these three conditions, even though the transferor title was defective, the transferee gets the absolute title. So the holder gets the title free from all the defects if he satisfy how many conditions? Three conditions as per section number 9 of the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. What are the three conditions? It should receive the instrument for valuable consideration, before maturity, and acting in what faith? Good faith. This is the fourth essential of what? Negotiable instrument. Next one, it is transferable. Yes, how many times, sir? It is transferable n number of times. Till the date of maturity, the instrument is transferable n number of time from one person to another person. And what are the ways of transfer? If it is a bearer instrument, by mere delivery, and if it is an order instrument, by endorsement as well as delivery. Next one, every negotiable instrument must contain an unconditional promise. There has to be either an unconditional promise or an unconditional order to pay. In case of promissory note, there will be an unconditional promise. In case of bills of exchange and a check, there will be an unconditional order to pay the money. Next one, the promise or order to pay must consist of what? Only the money. Only what? Money. If there is a promise to give a goods, or if the promise to give a necklace, or if the promise to give anything else, is it considered as a negotiable instrument? No. In case of negotiable instrument, there should be a promise to pay or order to pay. Only what? Money. Only money. Money plus goods, not valid. Only the money. Next one, the sum payable and the time of payment and the pay must be what? Certain. It should be a definite person. This is the one more essential of what? Essentials of the valid negotiable instrument. And the next one is the instrument must be what? Delivered. This is what most important. Delivery is important in case of negotiable instrument. And delivery can be what? Actual delivery as well as constructive delivery. So even in case of endorsement, the endorsement is complete only when the instrument is delivered from whom? Endorser to the endorsee. So these are the 9 essentials of what? A valid negotiable instrument. What is the first one? It should be in writing. Second one, it should be signed. It is transferable from one person to another person. The holder in due course get the instrument free from all the defects. It is transferable n number of time till its maturity. And every negotiable instrument either must contain the order to pay or the promise to pay. Order to pay or to the promise to pay. The promise or order to pay must consist of what? Only money, and the payment, the terms of the payment as well as the pay must be certain, and the instrument must be delivered from whom? From the drawer to the drawee, and in case of endorsement, endorser to the endorsee. Next one, there are three negotiable instruments, correct, right? Promissory note, bill of exchange, check. And which section defines the word negotiable instrument? Section 13, 1 plus 3, 1 plus 3, the logic, 1 plus 3 is equal to what? 4. Section is 13. 13 defines what? Negotiable instruments. So 1 plus 3 is what? 4. Section 4 defines the word what? Defines the word a promissory note. The first negotiable instrument is what? A promissory note. 1 plus 3, 4. Section 4 defines the word what? A promissory note. Promissory note. These are the lame logics of CSR to remember the word section numbers. So what is promissory note, sir? A promissory note means what? It's an instrument in writing. Remember these keywords. Same definition even in case of bills of exchange, except there is an order to pay. Here there is a what? Promise to pay. So what is the promissory note, sir? A promissory note is a what? Is an instrument in writing. It should have what? Instrument in writing, other than what? Bank note and currency note. A bank note and currency note is not considered as a promissory note. As per which act? Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. It is a promissory note but not covered under which act? Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. The currency notes which are issued by the government, and bank notes are issued by the RBI. So containing, so it's an instrument in writing. A promissory note is an instrument in writing containing an unconditional undertaking. What undertaking? Unconditional undertaking means it has to be unconditional. The promise to pay must be what? Unconditional. Signed by whom? The maker, the one who makes the instrument. To pay what money? Certain sum of money, a definite sum of money. To whom? To a particular person, or to the order of the person, or to a bearer, or to what? Bearer. But as per the RBI Act, as per the RBI Act, a promissory note cannot be made payable to whom? Bearer. So now a promissory note means what? An instrument in writing containing an unconditional undertaking. Unconditional undertaking signed by whom? The maker. To pay what? Certain sum of money only to, or to the order of a person, or to the bearer. But as per the RBI Act, a promissory note cannot be made payable to whom? To the bearer. This is the definition of a promissory note. For example, let's say X makes a promise. Who makes a promise? X make a promise to whom? Promise to Mr. Y. What is the promise he makes? X makes a promise to pay 3,000 rupees to whom? To Mr. Y. After how many months? After 3 months. Mr. X has taken a loan of 3,000 rupees from Mr. Y. So Y is the creditor, X is the debtor. So he made an instrument in writing. It should be on what paper? On a stamp paper. What paper? Stamp paper. So X made a promise to Mr. Y that Mr. Y, I promise to pay your money after how many months? 3 months. It's an instrument in writing and it contains what? An unconditional undertaking. Signed by whom? Mr. X, the maker, to pay what? Certain sum of money, 3,000 rupees. To whom? Either to Mr. Y, or if Mr. Y transfer it to Mr. Z, to his Y's order, that is to Mr. Z, or to the bearer. But promissory note as per the RBI Act cannot be made payable to whom? The bearer. So in case of promissory note, there are how many parties? There are 2 parties. How many parties? 2 parties. Who the 2 parties are? The first one is maker. Who is maker? The one who makes the promissory note or writes the promissory note is called as what? Maker. In our example, who is the maker? X is the maker. Then who is payee, sir? The person to whom the instrument is originally payable is called as what? Payee. To whom the instrument is payable here? Y. The Y is considered as what? Payee, as well as the holder of the instrument. If Y transfer it to Mr. Z, then Z is considered as what? Holder of the instrument. He is considered as what? Holder of the instruments. So these are the 2 parties in case of what? Essentials of promissory note. So let us discuss the essentials of what? Promissory note. First one, it must be in writing. Obviously, all negotiable instrument must be in what? Writing. So the promissory note must be in writing. Second one, there must be an express promise to pay. There has to be a clear promise to pay by whom? Promisor to the promisee, the maker to the payee. So the mere acknowledgement of debt, if there is a mere acknowledgement of debt, is it sufficient? No, there has to be a clear promise to pay. The maker of the promissory note must say, I promise to pay you. So in these examples, for example, Mr. Ramu says, I owe you. Is it considered as a promissory note? No. Why? Because there is no clear promise to pay. Second one, in the second example, Mr. X says, I am liable to pay you rupees 500. Is it considered as promissory note? No. Why? Because he is just acknowledging the indebtedness. He is not promising to pay. It is not considered as promissory note. What if a person write on the instrument saying that I have taken from you rupees 100. Whenever you ask for it, I have to pay for it. So is it considered as promissory note? No, it is not considered as a promissory note. Next one, I promise to pay B or the order rupees how much? 500. Is it considered as promissory note? Yes, it is considered as a promissory note. Next one, I acknowledge myself to be indebted to Mr. B rupees 1000 to be paid on demand for the value received. Is it considered as promissory note? Yes, Mr. Here the person is polite and is politely saying that he acknowledged the indebtedness and he promised to pay what? The 1000 rupees on the demand for the value received. Is it considered as a negotiable instrument or a promissory note? Yes, it is considered as promissory note. What is the first condition? It has to be in writing. Second one, there has to be a promise to pay. Third one, the promise to pay must be what? Unconditional. One more important provision based on which they can ask practical question in the examination. The instrument must be payable on the performance or non-performance of a particular act or on the happening or non-happening of an event are not considered as what? Promissory note. Means if the instrument is promised to be paid on a contingent event, is it considered as a promissory note? No. So instrument, payable and the performance or non-performance. These two key terms must be there in your answer. Performance or non-performance of a particular act or on the happening or non-happening of an event, then it is not considered as what? Promissory note. But however, if the instrument is payable subject to a condition, subject to the conditions which according to the ordinary experience of the mankind, if it is bound to happen, it is valid. I repeat, if the instrument is payable on the performance or non-performance of a particular act or on the happening or non-happening of an event, is it considered as promissory note? No. But however, if it depends upon the condition which according to the ordinary experience of the mankind, if it is bound to happen, is it considered as promissory note? Yes, it is considered as a promissory note. For example, a death is certain to happen. It is not considered as conditional, it is valid. Okay. For example, I promise to pay B 5,500 rupees 7 days after my marriage with C. Is it valid? No, it is not considered as a promissory note. Why? Because marriage is an uncertain event. It may happen, may not happen. Next one, I promise to pay 500 on D's death. Is it considered as a valid promissory note? Yes, because death is bound to happen as per the ordinary experience of the mankind. It is not considered as invalid. Next one, I promise to pay B on D's death provided D leaves me enough to pay that sum. So it is uncertain, even though it is not conditional, it is uncertain. So it is not considered as what? Not considered as a promissory note. Fourth essential, the promissory note must be what? Signed by the maker. It has to be what? Signed by the maker. Every negotiable instrument should be signed by whom? Signed by the maker. Otherwise, it is incomplete and ineffective. Now, next one, there has to be what? A promise to pay money only. There has to be a clear promise to pay what? Only the money. If there is a promise to pay the money as well as the goods, is it valid or not valid? Not valid. Next one, a promise to pay what sum? A certain sum. The sum payable by the maker to the payee must be clear, certain, and should be what? A definite. Correct, right? If person says, let's say X says, I promise to pay 1000 rupees. Is it valid? Yes, valid. If he say 1000 rupees plus 18% per annum, yes, it is valid. If he say 1000 rupees plus MIBOR, Mumbai Interbank Operating Rate plus 2% of interest, is it valid, sir? Yes, because MIBOR is fixed by whom? By the interbank operating rate. Is it valid, sir? Yes, it is valid. Only if it is not possible to ascertain the interest or ascertain the sum with the normal interpretations, then it is considered as what? Uncertain sum. Then it is not valid. Next one, the payer, that is the maker, the payee must be what? Certain, definite, and should be what? Different person. Can maker and payee be both same? No. Mr. Person cannot make a promise to himself to pay the money. So the maker should be different and the payee must be different, and they should be what? Certain and definite. Is the instrument payable to bearer? No. As per the RBI Act, a promissory note Cannot be made payable to whom? Made payable to the bearer. Next one, only the Reserve Bank of India and central government can make or issue promissory note payable to whom? To the bearer. That is the bank note as well as the currency note. Next one, stamping. The instrument should be made on what paper? Stamp paper. So payment of stamp duty is compulsory in case of what? In case of promissory note. What notes? A promissory note. A promissory note should be made on what? Should be made on a stamp paper. So now I repeat, what is promissory note? Section number 4 defines the word promissory note. A promissory note means an instrument in writing containing an unconditional undertaking signed by the maker promising to pay certain sum of money only to or to the order of a person or to the bearer. It is considered as what? A promissory note. How many parties? Two parties. Who are the two parties? Maker and the payee. And there are how many essentials of promissory note? 8 essentials of promissory note. Next one, section number 5. Section number 5 deals with what? Deals with the bills of exchange. See, 1 plus 3, 4 deals with promissory note. After 4, what will come? 5. So after promissory note, what is the next negotiable instrument? Bills of exchange. Section 5 provides the provision with respect to what? Bills of exchange. So what is bills of exchange, sir? Bills of exchange is an instrument in writing. Instrument in what? A writing. Is an instrument in writing. It must be in what? A written form. What form? Written form. Containing an unconditional order. What order? Unconditional order. In case of promissory note, there will be what? Unconditional undertaking. But in case of bill of exchange, there is an unconditional order. The drawer makes an order to the drawee to make the payment to drawer or to someone else. So a bill of exchange is an instrument in writing containing an unconditional order signed by whom? Signed by the maker, drawer, directing whom? A certain person to pay. That certain person who has been directed to pay is called as what? Called as the drawee. Pay what? Certain sum of money. To whom? To only to or to the order of whom? A certain person. This certain person can be a drawer himself or it can be any other third party also. Or to whom? To the bearer of the instrument. Bearer of whom? Instrument. A bill of exchange. A bill of exchange cannot be a bearer instrument. Bearer instrument. Bearer instrument. If it is what? If it is payable on demand. If it is payable on demand. If a bill of exchange is payable on demand, it is not. It cannot be made payable to whom? Bearer. But if it is payable after certain time, then can it be considered? Can it be made as bearer instrument? Yes, it can be made as bearer instrument or payable to the bearer. We'll discuss this provision later. As of now, what is the definition of bill of exchange? Bill of exchange means it's an instrument in writing containing what? Unconditional order. Signed by whom? Maker. Directing whom? Certain person to pay what? Certain sum of money, either only to or to the order of certain person or to the bearer of the instrument. So in case of bill of exchange, there will be how many parties? Let's say A, B, C. A orders. Who orders? A orders whom? B. To pay money to whom? C. Now who draws the instrument here? A. He is called as drawer. B is called as what? Drawee. And C is called as what? Called as the payee. So there are how many parties here? 3 parties. So the drawer may order drawee to pay third party or to pay himself. That is to Mr. A, the drawer himself. Then also it is considered as what? Bill of exchange. So what is bill of exchange? It's an instrument in writing containing what? Unconditional undertaking signed by whom? Maker. Directing whom? Certain person to pay what? Certain money only to or to the order of certain person or to the bearer of the instrument. How many parties? 4 parties. But originally how many parties? 3 parties. Who is drawer? The one who draws the instrument or makes the instrument is called as what? A drawer. Next one, who is drawee? The person who is directed by the drawer to pay is called as what? Drawee. He is the person whom the bill is drawn. On acceptance of the bill, he is also called as what? Acceptor. If the drawee himself accept the bill, then he is also called as what? Acceptor. Next one, drawee in case of need. See, if the drawer is not sure about acceptance of bill by the drawee, Along with the drawing names, the drawer can mention one more person's name who can be resorted to in case of default by whom? By the original drawee. For example, A draws a bill on B. Along with B name, he also mentioned whose name? C names to be in a safer side. If B refuses to accept the bill of exchange, now who will accept it? C will accept it, the Apad Bandhava. Now the C is called as what? Drawee in case of need. A drawee in case of what? A need. So what is drawing in case of need? When in the bill or in any endorsement, the name of any person is given in addition to the drawing name, then who can be resorted to in case of need? Such person is called as what? Drawing in case of need. Obviously, then who is payee? Payee means the person to whom it is payable or directed to be paid is called as what? Called as the payee. How many parties? Three parties: drawer, drawee, payee. And there is one more person called as drawee in case of need. In addition to the original drawee name, if any person name is mentioned who can be resorted to if the original drawee refuses to accept or defaults in acceptance, the second person is called as what? Drawee in case of need. Essential characteristics of bills of exchange, obviously same essentials. It should be in what? Written form. Second one, must contain what? Express order to pay. In case of promissory note, express promise to pay, but in this case express order to pay. Next one, the order must be what? Definite and unconditional. If there is an order to pay on the happening or non-happening of an event, or the performance or non-performance of an event, is it conditional or unconditional? Conditional, not valid. But however, if it depends upon a condition which is certain to happen as per the ordinary experience of the mankind, is it considered as conditional? No, it is valid. For example, based on death. So first condition is it must be in writing. Second condition is there must be an express order to pay. Third condition is that the order to pay must be what? Definite and unconditional. And the fourth condition is that the drawer must sign the instrument. In case of promissory note, the maker should sign the instrument. In case of bill of exchange, the drawer must sign the instrument. Drawer, drawee and the payee must be what? Certain. As per RBI Act section number 31, a bill of exchange cannot be made payable to whom? Bearer on demand. That is what I discussed earlier. A bill of exchange cannot be made payable to bearer on demand. Can it be made payable after certain times? Or yes. For example, let's say Mr. X draws a bill of exchange. If it is payable on demand, let's say payable on demand, and it is payable to bearer, is it valid? No. But if it is payable after certain time, let's say the instrument say pay after 3 months. After how many months? 3 months. Now it is payable to whom? Payable to bearer. Is it valid? Yes, it is valid. Bill of exchange payable to bearer on demand, not valid. Not allowed as per the RBI Act. Bill of exchange payable to bearer after certain time, is it allowed? Yes, it is allowed. Example, on demand, pay to the bearer a sum of rupees 500 for the value received. Is it called as a valid bill of exchange? No, because it is payable to whom? Bearer on demand. But if it is payable after certain time, is it valid? Yes, it is valid. The sum must be what? Certain. There should be a clear promise to pay a certain sum of money. Correct, right? If there is a promise to pay certain sum of money with interest, is it valid? Yes, it is valid. The order must be to pay what? Only money. Money only. Money plus goods, not valid. Only money, valid. It must be what? Stamped. Same like promissory note. Even the bill of exchange should be on what paper? Should be on a stamp paper. The next concept is difference between a promissory note, a bill of exchange. Laddu concept definition. Promissory note, section number 4. Bill of exchange, section number 5. Nature of instrument, there is a promise to pay in case of what? A promissory note. In case of bill of exchange, there is an order to pay. Parties, how many parties in case of promissory note? 2 parties. Maker, pay. In case of bill of exchange, 3 parties. Drawer, drawee and pay. Acceptance, do promissory note requires acceptance? No sir, a promissory note does not require the acceptance. Then what about bill of exchange, sir? Yes, the bill of exchange needs the acceptance. It has to be accepted by the drawee. Next one, payable to bearer. Can a promissory note be made payable to bearer? No. But bill of exchange, yes, if it is payable after certain time. But if it is payable on demand, can it be a bearer instrument? No. So these are the provisions with respect to what? With respect to promissory note and bill of exchange. See, section number 13, 3 instrument, 13 defines the word negotiable instrument. 1 plus 3, 4. Section 4 defines the word what? Promissory note. After 4 what comes? 5. After promissory note, which instrument comes? Bills of exchange, section number what? 5. After bills of exchange, what is the next instrument? Check. And after 5, what is the next number? 6. Section number 6 defines the word what? A check. Now what is check, sir? Check is also a bill of exchange, because there will be how many parties? 3 parties. It is also a bill of exchange because there is an order to pay. But however, it is always drawn on the specified banker, means the drawee in case of check is always what? A bank, a specified bank with whom the drawer has an account. So check is also a bill of exchange drawn on a specified banker and not expressed to be payable otherwise than on demand, means a check is always payable on demand. You cannot say it is payable otherwise than on demand. It is payable always on demand and includes what? An electronic image of a truncated check. I repeat, a check is a bill of exchange drawn on a specified banker and not expressed to be payable otherwise than on demand and includes what? Electronic image of a truncated check. Now the question is, what is truncated check, sir? See, when you send the check for collection to a bank, the collecting banker, what banker? Collecting banker. There will be 2 bankers, right? The paying banker and the collecting banker. So X has given the check. Let's say X has an account with SBI Bank. He gives the check to Mr. Y. So X is the drawer, SBI is the drawee, Y is the payee, and Y has the account in which bank? Let's say S Bank. So Y deposit the check with whom? S Bank for the collection. Now what S Bank does? S Bank will scan the image of the check. They will scan the image of the check received from whom? From Mr. Y, to avoid the physical movement of check for the clearing cycle. So they'll scan the image of the check received from the customer and they will send the scanned image to whom? To the SBI for verification and payment. So when the collecting banker scanned the physical check, the scanned image or the mirror image of the physical check which is used for the purpose of clearing cycle is called as what? A truncated check. The definition of the check also includes what? Also includes a truncated check. What check? A truncated check. I repeat, a check is a bill of exchange drawn on a specified person, specified banker, and not expressed to be payable otherwise than on demand, and includes an electronic image of a truncated check and also check in what form? Electronic form. How many parties? 3 parties. Drawer, the one who draws the check. Drawee, the bank on whom the check is drawn. It is always drawn on whom? A specified banker. And the payee, the person who is named in the instrument or to whom the payment is to be made, is called as what? Payee. So the payee can be drawer himself or it can be what? A third party also. Essentials of check. Essentials of check, it must satisfy all the essentials of what? A bill of exchange. The additional requirement is that it is always drawn on a specified banker and it is always payable on what? Demand. But in case of bill of exchange, it can be made payable on demand or it can be made payable after a certain time. So these are the features or essentials of what? A check. So section number 4, promissory note. 5, bills of exchange, and section number 6, check. Next one, classification of negotiable instrument, one of the most important concept based on which they can ask question in the examinations. So section number 13, we have already discussed section number 13, a bearer instrument and order instrument. What is bearer instrument, sir? A promissory note, bill of exchange or a check is payable to bearer. When it is payable to bearer? When it is expressed to be payable to a bearer. In the negotiable instrument, let's say in a promissory note, it is clearly mentioned that instrument is payable, paid to whom? Paid to the bearer. If it is clearly mentioned, it is considered as what? Bearer instrument. First scenario. What is second scenario? If the only endorsement, I have already discussed what is endorsement. When a person writes or signs at the back of the instrument with the intent to transfer the rights of the instrument and delivers the instrument to the other person, it is called as what? Endorsement. If that endorsement does not contains the endorsee name, the transferee name, it is called as what? Endorsement in blank. So if there is only one endorsement, if that endorsement is endorsement in blank, it is payable to bearer, the one who is holding it. Or if there were many endorsement, let's say there are 10 endorsement, out of the 10 endorsement, last endorsement, the 10th endorsement, if it is endorsement in blank, only contains the signature of the endorser, then also it is considered as what? Payable to bearer. Simple provision. There are two scenarios in which an instrument is considered as payable to the bearer. When it is expressed to be so payable, this is the common word in both the provisions. Second one, if the only endorsement, if there is only one endorsement, or the last endorsement, if there are multiple endorsement, the last endorsement is an endorsement in blank, then it is considered as what? A bearer instrument. What instrument? A bearer instrument. Next one, order instrument. A promissory note, a bill of exchange, check is payable to order, or it is considered as an order instrument when it is expressed to be so payable, that is, if it is payable to order of a person. Simple provision. Second scenario, where it is expressed to be payable to a particular person. Let's say if it is payable to X and it does not contain or does not prohibits the further transfer of the instrument, then it is considered as what? Order instrument. Section 30. Next one, inland instrument. What instrument? Inland instrument. A simple provision. Sir, what is inland instrument, sir? There are three conditions to be satisfied to be what instrument? Inland instruments. Let us discuss what is the condition, sir. The first condition, the must satisfying condition is that the instrument should be what? Drawn in India. The instrument must be drawn in India or made in India. Both are same, right? One and the same. The first condition is that the instrument must be what? Drawn in India or made in India. This condition is must. Along with that condition or this condition, there are two more conditions, out of which any one condition to be satisfied. To be what? Inland instrument. What are the two conditions, sir? Two condition is that the instrument is drawn upon a person. Drawn upon a person who is what? Resident of India. Made in India, that is a compulsory condition, and out of the remaining two condition, any one condition to be satisfied, drawn upon a person who is resident of India, or if it is made payable in India, made payable in India. So then it is considered as what? Considered as inland instrument. So condition number 1 is compulsory, and out of condition number 2 or 3, any one condition to be satisfied, then it is considered as what? Inland instrument. Otherwise it is considered as what? A foreign instruments. So a promissory note, a bill of exchange, or a check drawn or made in India, compulsory. Next one is what? And word is there, means one more condition to be satisfied out of the remaining two conditions. Payable in or drawn upon a person resident in India, then it will be considered as what? Inland instrument. Example, a promissory note made in Kolkata, first condition satisfied, payable in Mumbai. What instrument? Inland instrument. Second one, a bill drawn in Varanasi, India, person resident in Jodhpur, India, although it is payable in where? Singapore. Is it considered as inland instrument? Yes, because first condition satisfied, and out of remaining two conditions, one condition is satisfied. Inland instrument. Next one, a resident of Agra, so made in India, first condition satisfied, draws a bill of exchange in Agra on B. A merchant in New York and B accepted the bill of exchange as payable in Delhi. Is it considered as inland instrument? Yes. Made in India, drawn upon a person resident outside India, but it is payable in India. So out of the remaining two conditions, one condition is satisfied. Inland instrument. Next one, a resident of Mumbai drew a bill of exchange in Mumbai and a merchant in Mathura and accepted the bill of exchange as payable where? In London. Is it an inland instrument? Yes, it is also considered as what? Inland instrument. Next one, if the bill of exchange is mentioned in the above two examples are endorsed in the France, does it matter? No, we are not concerned about endorsement here. Only about where it is made, where it, on whom it is drawn, and where it is payable. Clear with this? It is called as what? inland instrument. Next one, a foreign instrument. An instrument which is not an inland instrument, if it is, which is, does not satisfy those conditions, is considered as what? Considered as the a foreign instrument. Liability of the maker or drawer of a foreign bill are foreign instruments. If there is a foreign bills of exchange, in that scenario, then according to which laws the drawer is responsible, according to which laws the acceptor or endorser is responsible. In the absence of contract to the contrary, not country, it is contrary. Okay, there is a mistake. In the absence of contract to the contrary means the parties have not agreed anything. The maker and the drawer of a promissory note or a bill of exchange or a check, they are regulated or governed by the laws where what is made? The instrument is made. That is the law as per which they are governed if there is a dishonor of the negotiable instrument. But the acceptor or the endorser, they would be governed by the laws where the instrument is made payable. For example, let's say an instrument is drawn in India, but it is drawn upon a person who is resident of USA, made payable in UK. Made payable where? UK. So now who is the drawer here? A. A is governed by which laws? Indian laws. But it is payable by whom? By Mr. Person who is in USA. Now, the who has accepted the instrument? The one who has accepted the instrument is here Y. Y is governed by which laws? Not the US laws. He is governed by which laws? UK laws. That is the place where the instrument is payable. So these are the provisions with respect to the liability of the maker or drawer of a what bill? Foreign bill. I repeat, the makers are governed by the place where the instrument is made. The drawee or the acceptor is bound by the laws where what is payable? The instrument is payable. Example, a bill of exchange is drawn by A in the Berkeley, where the rate of interest is how much? 15%. So A is governed by what? Rate of 15%, because the drawer is always governed by the laws where the instrument is made. And accepted by B, payable in Washington, where the interest rate is 6%. So now B payable in Washington, where the rate of interest is how much? 6%. The bill is endorsed in India and dishonored. An action on the bill is brought against the B in India. Now B is liable to pay how much interest? Only the 6%, because where the instrument is payable? In Washington. So the acceptor is governed by the laws where the instrument is payable. Where the instrument is payable? Washington. And what is the rate of interest in Washington? It is 6%. So he is bound to pay only 6% of interest, not the not what? 15%. But if A was made responsible, that is the drawer responsible, then he is liable to pay how much of interest? 15%, because he has gone by the laws where the instrument is made. Next one, most important one, based on which I expect them to ask questions in the upcoming examinations. Inchoate instrument and ambiguous instrument. See, the name itself indicates inchoate means incomplete. The moment you see the question in the examination, you should come to the word incomplete should come to your mind. It's an incomplete instrument. I'll give the keywords for this provision. First one is what? It is incomplete. It is incomplete. Second one is what? It is signed by the maker. Third one is what? It is delivered. It is delivered to whom? Delivered to the paid or the other person. So once when a person signs an incomplete instruments and delivers to the other person, he is impliedly giving a right to whom? To the recipient to complete the instrument by filling the amount. So now the second provision, the one who receives the instrument can what? He can fill the amount. How much he can fill? He can fill any amount. He can fill what? Any amount, to the extent governed by what? Governed by the stamp, to the extent covered by the stamp. But however, even though he has fixed the amount which is not intended to be paid by the drawer, he can only recover, the holder can recover only what? The amount which the drawer has intended to pay. But if it is transferred to the drawing holder in due course, holder in what? Due course, he can recover the full amount to the extent of what? Extent of amount governed by the stamp duty. Amount governed by what? The stamp duty. I repeat, in case of inchoate instrument, what is not complete? Instrument is not complete. When a person signs and delivers an instrument which is not complete on all its particulars, he impliedly giving a right to the transferee to fill the instrument and make it complete. So the transferee, the holder can make it complete by filling the amount, but the amount filled should not exceed what? The amount governed by the stamp duty. But however, the holder can recover only the amount which was intended to be paid by whom? Paid by the drawer. But if it is transferred to the holder in due course, the holder in due course can recover any amount which is governed by what? Governed by the stamp duty. For example, let's say A is liable to pay. Who is liable to pay? A is liable to pay, well, let's say 1 lakh rupees. Because A is liable to pay 1 lakh rupees, what he has given? He has given a promissory note. He just drawn a promissory note. He just takes a stamp paper, let's say worth of 200 rupees. As per the law, let's assume as per the law, this 200 rupees stamp paper can be used to cover the transactions worth of how much? 2 lakh. Means up to 2 lakh, if you use this instrument, it is valid. But A is liable to pay how much? 1 lakh. So he signed this negotiable instrument, delivered it to whom? B, without specifying what? Amount. So whenever a person signs and delivers a blank instrument or an incomplete instrument, he is impliedly giving the right to whom? To the holder to fill the amount and make the instrument what? Complete. Now who can fill the amount here? B can fill the amount. How much he can fill? He can fill either 1 lakh, which was intended to be paid by A, or he can fill how much? 2 lakh, which is covered by the stamp duty. Can he fill 3 lakhs or no? If he fill it, the instrument is invalid, because that stamp duty covers only transactions worth of how much? 2 lakh. Let's say he fills 2 lakh. If he writes the 2 lakh, can B recover 2 lakh from Mr. A? No. The holder of the instrument can only recover the amount which was intended to be paid by whom? Paid by the drawer. But what if B transfer the instrument to Mr. C, who is acting in good faith, holder in due course? Remember, I discussed holder in due course. How many conditions? 3 conditions. He receives the instrument for a valuable consideration before maturity, acting in good faith. Now he becomes what? Holder in due course. The holder in due course can recover what? Can recover 2 lakh. Can recover what? 2 lakh. So if C recovers 2 lakh from A, then A will recover from how much from Mr. B? 1 lakh. That is a different concept. But the question is, how much holder in due course can recover? He can recover the amount mentioned in the instrument to the extent of stamp duty. But holder can recover how much? The holder can recover only how much? The amount which was intended to be paid by the drawer. How much A was liable to pay? 1 lakh. Only 1 lakh B can recover. These are the concept of what? Concept of inchoate instrument. What instrument? Inchoate instrument. Keyword: incomplete in certain aspects, signs and delivers, leaving the instrument blank. Such instrument is called as what? Inchoate instrument. This gives the power to the holder to make it what? Complete, by writing the amount either within the limit specified therein or within the limit specified with a stamp affixed on it. But however, the holder can only recover what? The amount intended to be paid by the signer, but holder in due course can recover any amount mentioned in the instrument subject to the stamp, subject to the amount covered by what? Stamp affixed on the instrument. Keywords for inchoate instruments: when a person signs and delivers an instrument which is not complete on all its particulars, it's called as what? Inchoate instrument. So he is impliedly giving the right to the other persons, the holder of the instrument, to make it complete by writing the amount which was intended to be paid by the holder or the amount covered by the stamp duty. But holder can only recover what? Amount which was intended to be paid by the signer or the maker, but the holder in due course can recover what? Entire amount. A person signs a blank acceptance on a bill of exchange kept in his drawer. The bill was stolen by whom? Mr. X, and he filled it up to how much? 20,000. This provision is not applicable. See, the question of inchoate or incomplete provision is applicable only when a person signs and delivers. Has he delivered the instrument here? No, it was stolen. Stealing an instrument is not considered as what? Delivery. So the provision of what? Incomplete instrument is not applicable. They can ask based on this example only. They can ask practical question based on inchoate instrument. Okay, negotiated innocent person for value. It was said that signer to the bank acceptance was not liable to the holder in due course because he never delivered the instrument. Correct, right? Only when he signs and delivers an instrument which is blank in its particulars, the holder can fill it and he can deliver it to a person who is acting in good faith, that is holder in due course. In that case, the holder in due course can recover the amount mentioned in the instrument. Next one, ambiguous instrument. What instrument? Ambiguous instrument. The instruments which are capable of more than one meaning are where the instrument can be treated either as a promissory note or as a bill of exchange. The holder at his option can either consider that instrument as what? Bill of exchange or a promissory note, and it continues to be such instrument after such election. That is called as what? Ambiguous instrument. So when this happens, sir, see, in case of promissory note, who is responsible? Promissory himself responsible. For example, let's say X and Y. X made a promise to pay whom? Y. Now who is responsible here? X is responsible to Mr. Y. Now what if, let's say, X draws an instrument upon Mr. Y payable to Z, and Y is a fictitious person. What person? Fictitious person. He is not there. That means who is only responsible to Mr. Z? Y is only responsible, right? Because if Y is not there, obviously who is responsible? X is responsible. It is quite similar to which instrument? A promissory note. Now Z has the option. He has the option to treat this bill of exchange as what? Either as a bill of exchange or as a promissory note. So because Mr. Z has the option to treat the bill as either a promissory note or as a bill, it is called as what instrument? Ambiguous instrument. Once Z makes the choice, he cannot change it later. He has to uh, continue treating the instrument in the as per the same choice. Example: a bill drawn by a person on himself in favor of whom? Third person. So he is only drawer and he is only drawee and payable to third person. Nothing but it is a promissory note. Where the drawee is a fictitious person. Ambiguous instrument. Our holder may treat it bill of exchange or as what? A promissory note. So these are the classification of negotiable instrument. First one, order and bearer. Second one, foreign bill and inland bill. And the third one, the most important one, based on which I expect them to ask question, is inchoate instrument. What is inchoate instrument? When a person signs and delivers a stamped instrument which is not complete and all its particulars is called as inchoate instrument. By delivering such instrument is impliedly giving the right to the holder to fill any amount which was intended to be paid by the drawer or the maker, or the amount governed by the stamp duty. But however, the holder of an instrument can only receive the amount which was intended to be paid by the drawer, but the holder in due course can receive what? Any amount up to the what? Stamp duty covered by the amount covered by the stamp duty. So these are the classification of what? Negotiable instrument. Next one, negotiation of negotiable instrument. Most important, negotiation of negotiable instrument. What is negotiation? Nothing but transfer of the instrument. So one of the key feature of negotiable instrument is what? Transfer. So transfer of instrument from one person to another person. It is called as what? Called as negotiation. And what is the intention of negotiation? Convey the title. Now what is title here, sir? Ownership. So negotiation is a transfer of an instrument for one person to another person to convey the title and to constitute the transferee, the holder of the instrument. Now, who is the holder of the instrument, sir? The one who has the right to possession of the instrument in his own name and also entitled to the rights of the instrument is called as what? Holder. So, what is the meaning of negotiation? Two key terms: to convey title and to make the transferee holder. That is the intention of negotiation. What is negotiation? Transfer of an instrument from one person to another in a manner to convey the title and to make the transferee the holder of the instrument. That is called as what? Negotiation. Negotiation can be classified into how many types? It can be classified into two types. What are the two types of negotiation? The first one is negotiation by delivery. Second one is what? Negotiation by endorsement and delivery. In case of bearer instrument, how the bearer instruments are negotiated? By mere delivery. Just give it to the transferee. Then who becomes the holder? The transferee becomes the holder. But in case of order instrument, what instrument? Order instrument, that is payable to specified person. Such instrument can be negotiated, that is transferred, to convey the title to the transferee and to make him the holder of the instrument by specifying what? By signing at the back of the instrument. By signing at what? A back of the instrument, and also by delivering the instrument. Both are important. So the holder of the instrument can endorse the instrument or transfer the instrument by what? By endorsement as well as what? Delivery. Now what is endorsement? Signing at the back of the instrument with the intent to convey the title to other person is called as endorsement. So there has to be endorsement as well as delivery. Example, X draw a check for how much? 50,000, payable to whom? Y, and delivered it to him. So who has delivered it? X has delivered it to Y. Y endorsed the check in favor of whom? Z, but kept it in this drawer. Did Y deliver the check to Mr. Z? No. Without delivery, is there any question of negotiation? No. There is no negotiation. So if there is no negotiation, what is not conveyed? Title is not conveyed. Okay. Next one, negotiation by delivery. Negotiation is what? Delivery. Which instruments can be negotiated by delivery? As I discussed, a bearer instrument. What instrument? A bearer instruments can be negotiated by what? A mere delivery. What delivery? A mere delivery. Correct, right? A promissory note, a bill of exchange, or a check delivered on a condition that it is not to take effect except in certain event is not negotiable unless such event happens. If an instrument is delivered to a person upon a condition that endorsement shall not take effect, or the delivery is not complete until the event happens, in that scenario, that instrument cannot be negotiated unless until such event happens. Example, A, the holder of a negotiable instrument payable to whom? Bearer, delivers it to B's agent to keep for whom? B. The instrument has been what? Negotiated. Correct, right? Because it is given to whom? To Mr. B. The agent to keep it for whom? To Mr. B. So here agent is holding the instrument in whose name? B's name. It means it has been delivered to whom? B. It is called as constructive delivery. So it has been negotiated. A, the holder of a negotiable instrument payable to bearer which is in the hands of A's banker who is at the time of banker of B. So here A has an account with, let's say, SBI Bank. B also have account with SBI Bank. A has kept the instrument with whom? Bank. Now A instruct the bank saying that you keep it for whom? B. So when the bank makes the acknowledgement, who makes the acknowledgement? Bank makes the acknowledgement to whom? To Mr. B. They're acting as whose agent? B's agent. Now what has taken place? Delivery has taken place. This is called as what delivery? Constructive delivery. There is no physical movement of the instrument, but still it is deemed that the instrument has been delivered from one person to another person. That is called as what delivery? A constructive delivery. So there has to be a delivery. In case of what instrument? A bearer instrument. A bearer instruments are negotiated by delivery. And delivery can be of how many types? Two types. What are the two types? Actual delivery and constructive delivery. What is actual delivery? When it is physical possession is transferred from one person to another person. What is constructive delivery? Either by acknowledgement or by token of something else. That is called as what? Constructive delivery. But delivery is must. Next one, negotiation by endorsement or endorsement. This is applicable in case of what? Order instrument. So in case of order instrument, they can be negotiated by endorsement as well as delivery. Next one, importance of delivery in negotiation. Importance of delivery in negotiation. As I discussed, without delivery, can there be a question of negotiation? No. What is negotiation? First of all, negotiation means what? Transfer of instrument with the intent to what? Convey a title and to make the transferee the holder of the instrument. There has to be a delivery. There has to be what? Delivery. So what is delivery, sir? A voluntary transfer of possession of the goods or instrument from one person to another person. It is called as what? Delivery. It must be voluntary. So when one person voluntarily delivers the instrument to the other person, it's called as what? Delivery. It can be of how many types? Two types, actual and constructive. So these are the two examples for a constructive delivery of instrument. If there is a physical possession, when the physical possession of the instrument is changed from one person to another person, it's called as what delivery? Actual delivery. If if the physical possession is not transferred, if it is delivered to the agent or to the clerk or a servant, or if it is done through an acknowledgement, that is called as what? A constructive delivery. These two are the examples for what delivery? A constructive delivery. The contract on a negotiable instrument until delivery remains what? Incomplete and revocable, that is cancelable. So unless until delivery is made, the negotiation is not complete. The right in the instruments are not transferred to the endorsee unless after the endorsement the same has been what? Delivered. If the person makes the endorsement of instrument but before the same could be delivered to the endorser dies. There is no negotiation, because the endorser himself should deliver the instruments to whom? To the endorser. Then only it is considered as what? A complete endorsement. So they may ask question based on this. They can ask question by giving this bank as an example. See, I have a check in SBI bank. I want to transfer it to Virat. So what I will do, I will instruct my bank saying that, bank, you keep the check on behalf of whom? Virat. Now the bank who is having the account of Virat make an acknowledgement to the Virat saying that, sir, we are holding the check on behalf of you now. So now what is transferred? Check is transferred from whom? CSR to Virat. There is no physical movement of check, but it is transferred by acknowledgement of the SBI bank. That is called as what? A constructive delivery. There has to be a delivery in case of negotiation. Clear? And delivery can be of how many types? Two types, actual delivery and constructive delivery. What is actual delivery? When physical possession is transferred, it is called as actual delivery. When it is delivered to an agent, or if it is delivered by an acknowledgement, it is called as what? Constructive delivery. Delivery when effective between the parties, means when the delivery is complete between the parties. First one, between the parties standing in what? Standing in the immediate relationship, means one who is having the immediate privity of contract. For example, drawer and drawee will have immediate relationship. Drawee and payee will have immediate relationship. Endorser and endorsee will have what? Immediate relationship. Between these two people, when the delivery is complete. The first provision, a delivery to be effectual must be made by the party making, accepting or endorsing the instrument, or by a person authorized by him in that behalf. Between the parties who are standing in immediate relationship, a delivery to be effective should be made either by the person who has accepting the instrument or who is endorsing the instrument. Either he should only deliver it or his authorized agent. If I want to transfer it to the other person, either I should deliver it or my agent should deliver it. Next one, conditional delivery. So what is conditional delivery? See, when the instrument is delivered or instrument is endorsed upon a condition that that instrument will take effect only upon the fulfillment of that condition, the delivery is complete only when that condition is fulfilled. And the person who is holding the instrument will hold the instrument as a trustee or an agent of whom? Agent of the transferor. And once the conditions are fulfilled, he has to deliver it to the original owner. So when an instrument is delivered conditional or for a special purpose, the property in the instrument does not pass on to the transferee until the condition is fulfilled. And the one who is holding the instrument will be holding the instrument as a what? Trustee for the transfer. Best example for this, based on which they may ask question in the examination. Excuse me. Mr. A makes a note in favor of what? Servant. So who is the endorser here? Maker here. A is the maker. Who is the payee here? Servant is the payee. And hands it over to whom? To his solicitor, the advocate, telling to retain the note till his death. Conditional act. And it is bound to happen. And then to hand it over to whom? To the servant. So this instrument will not take effect until unless the conditions are fulfilled. That is, until unless the death of Mr. A happens. Once A dies, then the advocate should give that instrument to whom? To the servant. This is conditional delivery. Section 138, the dishonor of check for insufficient funds in the accounts. When the check is dishonored for insufficiency of funds in the account, then the drawer is liable to a punishment of imprisonment up to how many years? 2 years, or with a fine which may extend to what? Twice the amount of the check, or with both. This is the punishment for dishonor of check under section number 138. But for applicability of section number 138, there are few conditions to be satisfied. What are they? The first condition is presentation of check. Means the holder of the check should present the check to the bank within a prescribed time. What is the prescribed time? He shall present the check within the 3 months of date mentioned in the check, because after 3 months it becomes what? A stale check. So the holder must present the check to the bank within 3 months, that is within the prescribed period, that is 3 months. Next one, once the holder receives the notice from the bank that the instrument has been dishonored, he should make a demand. He should send a demand notice to the drawer to make the payment within how many days of receipt of intimation from the bank? 30 days. In that scenario, the drawer should make the payment within how many days of receipt of notice? Within 15 days. If the drawer fails to make the payment within 15 days of the notice, in that scenario, the holder of the instrument can make what? Complaint to the magistrate within how many months? Within 1 month. I repeat, for example, how does it work, sir? Let's take an example and understand. For example, let's say X X has drawn X has given a check to whom? To the Y. So X is the drawer, Y is the payee, and SBI is the, let's say, drawee bank. What bank? Drawee bank. And S bank is the collecting bank, where Y has the account. So what Y is supposed to do? The first event is Y shall present the check. He shall present the check for what? Collection of the amount. He shall present the check within how many months? 3 months. That is the maximum period allowed, right? Otherwise, check becomes what? Stale check. Presentation is done. First condition is satisfied. Now, who has to send the check for collection? S bank. They have sent the check for collection, but SBI bank said there is no sufficient funds. Now, this S bank will intimate to whom? To Mr. Y, the payee. So once the payee receives the intimation, he shall send the notice to whom? To the X, a demand notice saying that your check is dishonored, please make payment. This should be done within how many days? Within 30 days of receipt of intimation from the collecting bank. And he should give a time of how many days? A 15 days time to the Mr. X, the drawer. So the drawer should make payment within 15 days of receipt of notice from the holder. If the drawer defaults to make the payment within 15 days of receipt of the notice from the holder, then the holder can give a complaint. He can give a complaint in what? In the magistrate court. What court? Magistrate court. Within how many months? Within 1 month from the date of default in the payment by whom? Mr. X. So this is how what works. The check bounce case works. There are how many conditions? 4 conditions: presentation of check, demand for payment, failure to make the payment, and he should give a complaint. Example: Naresh draw a check worth of 25,000 rupees on his own account payable to Mukesh, but only he has how much? 20,000 in his account. Mukesh present the same to the bank within the time allowed under section number 138. Check bounces due to what? Insufficient funds. Now, what is the consequences? Now, Naresh is liable to an imprisonment up to 2 years and also to a fine of how much? Twice the amount. Next one, 139. Presumptions in favor of holder. Once the instrument is dishonored, when a complaint is filed, the court presumes that it shall be presumed that unless the contrary is proved, that the holder of a check received the check of the nature referred to section number what? 138, the discharge of whole or in part of any debt or other liability. Means he has been received the check for a consideration. The court shall presume that the check has been received or drawn for what? A valuable consideration. Presumption prescribed here is what? Rebuttable presumption. Now, what is rebuttable presumption? There are two types of presumption which I explained in the Indian Contract Act. Rebuttable means which can be proved wrong by providing evidence. If a person has evidence to show that the check was not given for consideration, he can give it to the court and the presumption is cancelled. If a check is drawn without consideration, is it valid? No, it is not valid. So section 138 is one of the important sections. Next one, section number 61 to 63, presentation of instrument. So presentation for acceptance, presentation for payment. Important provision based on which they can ask questions in the examination. Presentation of instruments for acceptance. Which instruments requires presentation of instrument for acceptance? Only what? A bill of exchange. Bill of what? Exchange. A bill of exchange which is payable after sight means which is payable after showing it to the one who is liable to make payment, required to be presented to the drawee for what? Acceptance. Within what time? A reasonable time. What time? Reasonable time. During what hours? Business hours. And what day? A business day. Same like contracted provisions. A bill of exchange which is payable after sight, after presentation, required to be presented for acceptance within a reasonable time after it is drawn on in a business hours on a business day. If the holder default in presentation of the instrument, no party therefore is liable thereon to the person making such default. For example, let's say A is the maker, B is the pay, A is the drawer, B is the drawing, B transfer it to C transfer it to D. Now D is the holder. He is the one who is liable to make what? Presentation. Let's say he is the one who is required to make presentation. If D default, who defaults? D defaults. For him who is not responsible, all intermediaries are not responsible. Because of whose default? A D is a default. So, if a person who is entitled to or having right to present the instruments for acceptance does not present the instrument within what? Reasonable time during business hours on a business day, all the previous parties are not liable to him. Next one, if the drawee cannot after reasonable search be found, the holder searched for the drawee but he could not be found, then what happens? The bill is dishonored for what? Acceptance. If the bill is directed to the drawee at a particular place, if the bill is required to be presented at a particular place, then it has to be presented in that particular place. And if the date and the due date of presentment, if the drawee could not be found, the bill is dishonored. Next one, where authorized by the agreement or usage, the presentment to the post by means of what? Regist letter is what? Sufficient. So there are a few provisions. There are 5 provisions in these rules of presentation for acceptance. The first one is a bill of exchange payable after sight must be presented by the person who is entitled to demand the acceptance within a reasonable time during business hours on a business day. If he defaults, then all prior parties are not liable to him. Next one, if the drawee could not be found after a reasonable search, the bill is dishonored. Next one, if the bill is directed to be presented at a particular place, then the bill should be presented at that particular place. If the person is not present on that particular date, then the bill is what? Dishonored. Now, where if it is authorized by the agreement or by an usage, then the presentation of the instrument or presentment of the instrument can be made either by physical delivery or by post or by a registered post. Next one, presentment of promissory note for sight. If it was agreed by the parties that a promissory note before payment required to be presented for sight to the one who is liable to make the payment, it has to be presented within what time? Reasonable time. During what hours? Business hours. And what day? Business day. Next one, drawee's time for deliberation. The drawee shall be given a time to deliberate and to accept the instrument, the bill of exchange. How many hours of time to be given? 48 hours of time, exclusive of what days? Public holiday. They may ask practical question based on this also. Once the person who entitled to demand the acceptance present the instrument for acceptance, he should allow 48 hours of time to the drawee to deliberate and accept it, excluding what holidays? Public holidays. Next one, presentment for payment. This is the one more important provision. Till now we discussed presentation for acceptance. They may ask, write the short note on the rules of presentation for acceptance. Now it is what? Presentation for payment. A promissory note, a bill of exchange, check must be presented for payment to the maker or acceptor or a drawee thereof respectively by or on behalf of the holder. It has to be presented. In default of presentment, the other party they too are not liable thereon. Same provision. And the third provision is that the presentation can be done even by registered post or a letter or by the speed post if it is allowed by the customs. Nowadays, check can be presented for payment through what? In the electronic mode. It is called as check truncation system or truncated check. Hours of presentment, it has to be done during what hours? Business hours. And what day? Business day. In case of check, during what hours? Banking hours. Keep this in mind. Similar provision to the presentation of for acceptance, but here it is for payment. During what hours? Usual hours of business. And what day? Business day. In case of banking, check, it is a banking hours. Next one, presentment for payment of instrument payable after date or site. If an instrument is payable after site or after date, it has to be what? Specific presented for a payment at maturity. And when the instrument is becomes matured, so it is become there is a grace period of how many days? 3 days. In case of time instruments, there is a grace period of how many days? 3 days. Presentment for payment of promissory note payable in case of installment. A promissory note payable in installments must be presented for payment on the third day after the date fixed for what? Payment. That is 3 days of grace period is available for each installment. Next one. Presentation for payment of instrument payable at specified place and not elsewhere. So it has to be presented at what place? At that particular place itself. If an instrument is to be required to be presented at a particular place, it has to be presented or it should be presented at the particular place itself. Next one, presentment where no exclusive place is specified. If place is not specified, then it has to be specified at a place where the drawee carries on the business, or where if there is no place of business, are the usual residence of whom? Residence of the maker, drawer or acceptor. And in case of check, at the bank. Next one, presentment when the maker has no known place of business or residence. If the drawer or maker is not having the maker or drawee is not having a known place of business or residence, in that situation, the instrument can be presented for payment wherever the drawee is found or wherever the maker is found. Next one, presentment of check to the charge drawer. A check must be presented before the relationship between the drawer and the banker has been changed. That is, before the account is closed or the before bank has become insolvent, the instrument must be presented by the person who is holding the check. Next one, presentment of check to charge any other person. A check must, in order to charge any person except the drawer, be presented in what time? A reasonable time. What is reasonable time is a question of. Next one, presentment by or to agent or representative of a deceased or assignee of the insolvent. Presentment for acceptance or payment may be made to the duly authorized agent of the drawee. So if the drawee is not there, to his agent. If he is dead, to the authorized representative. Excuse for delay in presentment for acceptance or payment. If there is a delay in presentation of the instrument due to sufficient reason, that can be excused by the law. So these 2 points, these 2 topics are important. Presentation for acceptance, there are 5 points. Keep these points in mind. And in case of presentation for payment, where it has to be presented, during what hours, then what happens if it is not presented, and where it has to be presented, especially the place, and also excuse for delay in presentation of the acceptance of our payment. Next one, when presentation is not required. See, if you want to charge the drawer for non-payment, what is must? Presentation is must. Without presentation of instrument for payment, can you make the drawer responsible for non-payment or dishonor of the instrument? No. But however, There are few cases where even though the instrument is not presented for payment, still the drawer is responsible, or he can be held responsible. Important, important, important. I expect the ICAE to ask question based on this topic. A theory question. When presentation is not necessary, a presentation is not necessary, no presentment for payment is necessary in the following cases, and the instrument is dishonor and the drawer is responsible. Generally क्या होता है, the holder should present the instrument for drawer demanding the payment. Then if the drawer defaults, then the holder can file a case against him for recovery of compensation as well as the money. But however, there are cases where even though instrument is not presented, still the drawer is responsible for dishonor of the instrument. When first one is what? Obstruction by the drawer. If the drawer obstructs the holder of the instrument to present the instrument, means the drawer only preventing the holder from presenting the instrument. And presentation is not required, then who is responsible? Drawer is responsible. Next one, the place of business is closed. If the instrument being payable at a particular place of business, if the holder reached that place on that particular day during business hours, and if that business place is closed, even though it is not presented to the drawer, it is dishonored and the drawer is responsible. First one, if the drawer obstructs or prevents the holder. Second one, if the business place is closed. Second one, no one is present. If the instrument is required to be payable at a particular place, in that particular place nobody attends to make the payment, or nobody is there in that place to make the payment during the business hours on the business day, then the instrument is not required to be presented. Even though it is not presented, the instrument is dishonored and the drawer is responsible. Next one, if the person could not be found, the person who is liable to make the payment could not be found, the instrument is dishonored. Next one, if the promisor has undertaken to make the payment without any presentation, then presentation is not required to charge the drawer. First one, where the drawer obstructs. Second one, if the drawer could not be found. Third one, in case of business place is closed. And the fourth one is what? No one is present. And the fifth one is if the drawer or the maker has promised to pay the payment without any presentation. And the last one is, the sixth one is promise to pay or waives, when the maker promised to pay without any presentation, or if he waives or gives up the right of presentation, in that case presentation of instrument for payment is not required. And the last one is if the drawer will not suffer any loss for non-presentation of instrument, in that scenario what is not required? Presentation is not required. Section number 117, rules of compensation. This is also important. Rules of compensation. The compensation payable in case of dishonor of promissory note, a bill of exchange, or a check by any party liable to the holder or endorsee shall be determined by what? Following rules. First one, the holder is entitled to recover what? The noting charges as well as the protest charges as well as what? Any other expenses incurred. Now, what is noting and protest? See, when the instrument is dishonored, to make sure that the holder will have an evidence of dishonor of the instrument, he can go to the any notary public and he can get it notarized stating that the instrument has been dishonored on that particular date. That notification or the noting of the notary public is considered as an evidence in the court of law to prove the fact that the instrument was dishonored either by non-acceptance or by non-payment. Next one, current rate. If an instrument is payable in a different currency, then it has to be payable at the current rate of exchange. Who is entitled to the compensation may draw a new bill including all noting expenses as well as protest expenses along with the interest payable to him. So the party entitled to the compensation may draw a bill upon the party liable to compensate him, payable at a sight or on demand, for the amount due to him together with what? All expenses properly incurred by him. Such bill must be accompanied by what? Instrument dishonored and the protest thereof, that is certificate issued by the notary public. If such bill is also dishonored, the party dishonoring the same is liable to what? Make the compensation thereof, as in the same case of a original bill. These are the provisions of Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. I hope you guys find this video helpful. See you guys in the next one. Until then, keep learning law. Dhanyawad.